I am half Tonahatam. So my mother is full Tonahatam, and my father is from Mexico, Suchi Durango in Mexico. So.
I'm half White Mountain Apache, and I am half Navajo. And I currently reside on the Navajo reservation, but I grew up on the Fort Apache Indian Reservation.
So I'm very grateful for having grown up on the reservation and having had leaders that made it very clear that the school district here should include our O'odham language, our O'odham history. I learned a lot of what I know through that process.
Right.
So learning the history of Americas or the history of the world right alongside our O'odham legends, our creation stories of the different seasonal times. I feel really blessed to be able to say that the school district here actually really gave us a very good balance of both.
I guess some of the things that could be integrated into our schools, our public schools especially, is bringing back a lot of that culture, bringing back a lot of those traditional values. Because in our Native American communities, we've just seen this massive loss of what we would consider history, like our history books, the people that have carried those traditions, and going back to our clothing styles, our foods, those traditional values, things like that have been lost because the elders have passed, a lot of them due to COVID. It's even more important now we bring those things back and work that into our schools. I work at a school that's located on the Hopi Reservation. They're tribally owned and they're BIE schools. There's just this integration of culture and tradition that I don't see in the public school. Everything in the public school is driven by data, this and this and this, and, testing this and testing that. But there's so much of who we are as Native people that I think will help us to get our students to where they need to be when we're teaching them the traditional values, things like that. If those things are integrated into their education, then I think it sets up our kids for success. I did a comparison of how's history different from what, you were taught in school and what you were taught by your elders. I looked at a couple of history books. And when you're a student in school, you don't think too much about, what's not included. And you basically just go off of what you're taught, what's given to you. I would have never had any reason to question what was in there. It put me on this weird emotional roller coaster. I was definitely disappointed, and I was a little devastated by how the history books in the classrooms have left out so much of what makes us who we are today. It's left out a lot of our struggles. It's left out a lot of our disadvantages, educational boundaries. In a sense, schools in Arizona and in other parts of the world will almost remain ignorant because they don't fully understand the history of Indigenous people.
I definitely have to agree. Thinking back now, if that weren't a component or weren't the priority of the school board to make sure that the culture, the heritage, and the overall aspect of it is included. Mm-hmm. You're very spot on to say they would only be able to get exactly what is kind of portrayed to them by the books that are actually available.
I definitely thought, after looking back, I knew there's definitely room for improvement